to another episode of the Cozy Cottage Crochet Podcast. My name is Hannah. I am the host, and this is a podcast all about crochet, a little bit of knitting, sometimes sewing, and generally living the yarniest life possible in St. Petersburg, Florida, where I live. You guys, can you believe? It is May. I saw the funniest meme online because, you know, Justin Timberlake, and he's like, it's gonna be May, but it was crossed out and it said it's gonna be meh. And I laughed so hard, and then I took a picture of it and screenshotted it and sent it to my husband, and he did not laugh as hard. Can't win. So I have actually done some much more yarning than I had in the last episode because I have been feeling a little bit better, although I am extremely tired today. So apologies for any loopiness or craziness that happens in this episode. I have some peppermint tea, which I brewed 30 minutes ago, so it is now cooled down to an appropriate, not boiling lava hot consistency, which I can actually drink. And yeah, I have 5 projects to share with you. Now, if you're looking for me anywhere on the interweb, you can find me as the Cozy Cottage Crochet. On Instagram, that is where I am most active, although I haven't made a post in quite a while. I do post in stories quite frequently. You can also find me on Ravelry as the Cozy Cottage. And if you have anything to say about the podcast specifically, please do shoot me an email. That is the best way to ensure that I will see your message and be able to get back to you in a timely manner. My email address is thecozycottagecrochet@gmail.com. Now, a little bit of admin before we start. We have make-alongs, and it is the middle of May, but that means the second quarter is halfway over, which means I will be drawing prizes at the end of June from our 3 make-alongs. First of all, we have the Wizarding Mal 2020, which I have a very exciting surprise for you that will be coming maybe in the next episode, possibly 2 episodes. That is a sock make-along and sewing make-along for the entire year of 2020. And every month has a different theme, a different prompt, and they are all wizarding related. Some of them are Harry Potter related, some of them are general wizarding related. However you can fit the theme into the sock or the bag that you are making, the project bag, you're golden. Do it. Claudia is hosting the chatter thread. I am hosting the finished objects thread in my group. And I actually, for the first time in months, have a teeny tiny bit of sock progress to show you for that make-along. The second make-along we have is the YEAROFCLASSICS 2020. This is to make any garment or large accessory that will actually fit in your wardrobe and that you will wear. So if you live in Florida, no bulky weight sweaters because that just doesn't make sense. And you can find all of the details for that in our Ravelry group. That's an informal make-along for the entire year of 2020 as well, and some amazing garments have been finished already. And then finally, we have the MISSIONIMPOSSIBLEMAL, which is my favorite. Although I have not worked on my Mission Impossible project in the last 2 weeks. It has been languishing in its project bag. But I will get back to it when I have a little more brain power to dedicate to fading and construction of that knit sweater. It's mind-blowing at the moment. So the Mission Impossible Mal is to make anything that really challenges you. So whatever challenges me is not the same thing that challenges you. If you have never done a sweater in your life and you want to, and that feels impossible, do it. If you have a whip that has been sitting in a bin for 2 years because it felt impossible, do it. Anything that feels impossible to you, you can do it. And then when you finish it, it will save the world. Just like Mission Impossible. More details on all of those make-alongs are in my Ravelry group, which you will find linked directly down below. And the last thing I want to say is, what am I wearing? This is a shawl that was knit for me by a viewer of this podcast named Amanda. And today's been kind of a weird day. I didn't sleep well at all last night. I had a nightmare, which I know some people get those frequently, bad dreams, but I almost never have bad dreams. If I do remember my dreams, they're usually crazy, but like bad things don't generally happen, just weird things. It was a really intense, I woke up and it took me 20 minutes in the middle of the night to convince myself that it wasn't real. And I'm not sure why that happened, But so I'm super tired today because I was up for like hours in the middle of the night. And I just wanted to feel better and feel cozy. And this is the shawl that I always reach for. It's huge, it's fingering weight. It's made out of wool-like, which is wonderful. And it has this long tail, which I always leave hanging because I like to play with it. I just am constantly like winding it around my fingers. I cannot remember what the pattern for this shawl is, even though Amanda has told me like 4 times. I want to say it's like a Kylie or Carrie shawl, something with a K, but it's beautiful and it is one of my most treasured possessions. And I wear it quite frequently because it goes with everything, because it's a classic, because it's so light and so large and it just is beautiful. So I've been wearing this all day because it makes me feel better. And just so you know, I am wearing like a normal shirt, normal shawl, because I have been working, and then I'm wearing red shorts because that's what you do when you work from home, right? So I'm just very excited. I'm always excited when I wear this shawl. So let's talk what I have been working on. Now, nothing is in a project bag. I don't know what has happened to me over the last 2 weeks. I've turned into like a person who doesn't use project bags. Everything is just in a pile on the couch or in a pile over by my work desk or in a pile in my room. I don't understand what's happening, but nothing seems to be in a project bag at all. And in fact, this, which is the first whip I will talk about, is this knit shawl. It's not in a project bag. It's sitting on top of it. Like, why did I not put this away? I have no idea. This is the Transitions shawl, which is a pattern by Hand Knit by Cam, and I will find you. This is what the photo looks like. It's very beautiful. I am working on the border. I had grand plans to have this done by this episode, but there are 22 border rows and I'm only through 8. Let me tell you how much I do not like working on this border. But it's so close, and this whip has been going on for like 2 years, so long that I can't not work on it. Like, it has to be finished. So the yarn that I am using, these are the colors. We have light green, light gray, and a dark gray that is currently attached. This is Valley Yarns Charlemont, which is a fingering weight yarn. It is 60% superwash merino, 20% silk, and 20% nylon. You get 439 yarns for 100 grams. The yarn is very soft and very luscious, but it splits like nobody's business, so I don't really recommend it for, I definitely wouldn't recommend it for a garment because it will pill like crazy. It already has a halo just from me working on it. And the stitches are really easy to split. So I was informed last time, this is the dark gray, that what I was calling fisherman's rib was not fisherman's rib. It's like a one-pass brioche. Well, I don't like that either. I don't like working on it at all. It is such a pain in my butt, this stitch. So essentially for the one-pass brioche, you have to go yarn over, slip 1, knit 2 together, over and over and over. And it makes this crazy squishy ribbing texture, which is really beautiful, and it's going to make a really beautiful accent to the edge of the shawl. This is what one of the triangles looks like. It's like a half a hexie. That's as far as I can stretch it out on this needle. So it starts from that little point and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and I have 600 and something stitches on the needles at the moment. So one row of this, no joke, takes me an entire episode of Chopped. That's like 40 minutes, 42 minutes with no commercials. So one row of brioche. So, ooh, my gosh, I almost pulled that right off the end of my needle. Can you imagine if I dropped these stitches? I would cry. I do not know how to pick up one pass brioche stitches. So I have this giant shawl, and the progress is so slow. So I've only done 8 rows, but that's like 8 hours of work. I will tell you that the key to this is loose tension. Loose tension. The first couple of rows I was knitting at my normal tension, which is fairly tight, and it was a struggle to make this in any way like to work the knit two together it felt impossible. So I significantly loosened up my tension, which is another thing that makes me go slower, because when I have proper tension on the yarn, I can go pretty quickly, but you have to go loose on this. And the effort of going loose is taking a lot of time. So I have, let me see how many more rows I have in dark gray. 7 more rows in dark gray, and then I have 7 rows in this light green color to put on the end of it. So I have yarn everywhere. These balls are coming untangled. I am still, I feel like I'm so close to having this done, and yet I feel like I am so far away from having this done. This project is like, am I even gonna wear this when it's done? I don't know. I honestly don't know. If I don't wear it, I suppose I'll give it away to somebody who will appreciate it, because I mean, I think it will look good, but I've never worn a hexie shawl, so I don't really know how it will lay or how it will kind of drape around my shoulders. This is my preferred style or way to wear a shawl, so I like big triangles made out of lightweight yarn, so I don't know how well this is going to fit my style. I just knew at the time that it was beautiful, and then I had to make it. And now 2 years later, I'm like, but did I though? But now that it's almost done, I'm like, of course I had to, but I do not want to do the brioche. I don't want to. I can wear it like this. It can be my shawl beard. My quarantine beard. So this is the transition shawl. It is very nearly done. So close. And yet, so far away. And I'm going to put it inside the project bag so that I can be a civilized human. I did it. It's in there now. That's project number 1. So what do you do when you're irritated with a project such as that? What do you do? You start something new, of course. So you may say, oh, this is a project bag. Well, yes, it is, but it's just holding yarn. The project was not in it. This is a bag that Claudia of the Crochet Luna podcast sent to me, and it's got the cutest zebra, which I love very much. And it is from Brooke Leanne Art. And I've left the tag on because I like the tag. And inside is all of the yarn for this project. So this is Red Heart with Love in the colorway Fruit Punch. It is pink and green and blue and orange. It is a worsted weight yarn, and it's 100% acrylic, and you get 180 yards. And I have 7 of these. So there's 6 of them in this bag. And randomly, here's the 7th ball, I just started a corner to corner. Now, this is not my normal color palette. The hot pink, yes. Perhaps even the light blue. This orange and green, no. I would say for the first like this much of it, I wasn't sure if I even liked it. But now that it's growing, it's kind of pooling and zigzagging a little bit. I think I do like it. I think I like it a lot, actually. I think it'll be really good for like a floor mat for a baby, or like, I make all my baby blankets. It's hard to get me to make something for other people. But if there is a baby involved, I can be talked into making a baby blanket if I love that person especially. So it'll be good to have one on hand, because I do know a few pregnant people. So I make all of my baby blankets corner to corner. I've made them in anywhere from sport weight up to bulky weight yarn. So it depends on how much I love you as to how thin of a yarn you are going to get. And also it depends on what time the baby is born. So if the baby's born in the winter or spring, you're gonna get a thicker baby blanket than you would if you're born in the summer, because that just makes sense, right? So I've only gotten this far. I'm using a 5.5 millimeter hook. I honestly should have gone up to a 6, but it's too late now. I should have used a 6 millimeter hook because, of course, my gauge is so tight. This is like stiff as a board. You can see it doesn't have a lot of drape. Like, it's pretty stiff, but It's red heart, of course, so when I'm done with this, it's gonna get washed and dried, and then it will be thrown. It will be so soft and so drapey. So I've just been working on this, I think for maybe 3 evenings on and off. This was my progress from last night. I have this ladybug stitch marker. And so I did all of this last night because I didn't want to face a row of brioche on that shawl. So I did this instead. So it's growing. It's of course going to get slower as the rows get bigger. And because I have 7 balls, I've used about half a ball so far. So I think what I will do, it will be awfully big, of course, if I use all the yarn. But I think what I'm going to do is make it 3 balls and increasing, 3 balls decreasing, and then you use the final ball to put a border on, which should be enough yarn to put like 3 or 4 rows of a half double crochet border on, which is the one I like to use. I don't know where did this yarn come from? I usually write on the ball band if someone sends me something, and I know that this yarn came from somewhere and I didn't buy it, but I didn't write on the ball band who sent it to me. If you sent me this fruit punch yarn, just know it's getting a whole new life, and it is going to be a baby blanket / maybe bigger blanket for like a toddler. It just depends on how much 3 balls increasing gets me. So yeah, that was my new cast on. It's not a complicated project, but I didn't want it to be because I really needed it to be kind of mindless. I needed it to just be something I could do while watching TV, and I'll be very happy to have those 7 balls of yarn used up and not in my stash anymore when that is done. And there's no rush on that project either. So I can work on it, I can put it down, no rush. The next project is just a tiny amount of progress. It is my cardigan that I am working on, the Obsidian cardigan made out of Holst Garn super soft yarn. This is a light fingering weight in the colorway Graphite. This is 100% wool, so not for the faint of heart. And it is covered in spinning oil, so it will make your fingers turn colors when you are using it. But if it was not covered in spinning oil, you would not be able to frog it. So again, this is just in a pile. It's not in a project bag. I don't know what's wrong with me. Nothing is in a bag. It's just been sitting on the corner of my couch, and it's all rumpled and crumpled, and I don't know what's going on, but it has grown a little bit. This many rows, in fact. So it's grown from here to here. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows. And of course, these are not small rows. So, you know, they take quite a bit of time because they go around the entire cardigan. So this is the texture. It looks a little bit lacy now, but it will plump up and be very thick when it is blocked. And it smells good. I love the smell of wool. It smells delightful. So very excited about that. 5 rows. It has grown incrementally. 5 rows is definitely, I bet that's 2 inches that it's grown. 2 inches, you think? Maybe 1.5 inches. So it has grown. It will need to keep growing because currently it will only cover my boob. So just a few rows have been done on that. Ooh. I'm gonna show you my sock progress, and then I'll show you the project that has been getting all the attention in the last few weeks. Yes, you heard me right, sock progress, because I have made some progress. Now, this sock has been done for a while. This is, where's my yarn? Hobie yarn. This is Antarctica in the colorway Polar, I believe. And then this gray is Hobie yarn Happy Feet in the colorway Gray. So I made this sock like in January, and I finished it like a month ago, 2 months ago. I don't know. I finished it a while ago, and I even kitchenered the toe and everything. And then I cast on the second sock, and it stayed with like the cast on in one row for so long. It has had no love. But the reason that I pulled this out, I had a little think, and I was like, the reason that I don't want to work on it is because I need to get past the cuff. If I get past the cuff with the ribbing, then I will pick it up more often because it's just stockinette in the round. And I need to have this project because all of those other projects are big and bulky. I can't carry them around very easily, which lately hasn't been a problem because I've been at home like everyone else. However, on Saturday, the same day that this episode goes live, my husband and I are going to see a few friends for the first time in probably 2 months since we've seen people. So it's just a couple of people, so don't get worried. And they have been isolating as well. Florida has started to reopen, and we'll talk more about that later. But there's gonna be a whole thing on Saturday, and I am not gonna be participating in the thing. So I need some knitting to do. I need a little project. So I sat down earlier this week and I was like, okay, you have got to get past this cuff. So I sat down, when I got past the cuff, I got to like here. So that's 15 rows of ribbing. And then I did the rest of this while on a Zoom meeting. So I have like an inch. I need quite a few more inches before the heel, but maybe I would be happy if I could do like 3 inches on Saturday. That would be really good. So if you have a question about how I do my socks, this is my personal sock recipe. Cast on 64 stitches on a 2.25 millimeter needle. This is my 9-inch 2.25 millimeter ChiaoGoo red lace circular. That was a lot of words. I love 9-inch circulars. I hate knitting socks magic loop, and I absolutely will not knit them DPN. I only like to go around in a circle. So I cast on 64 stitches, and then I do 15 rows of 2x2 rib. And then I just work the leg however long I feel like I want to. If I'm doing a shorty sock, I'll do like another 15 rows and then I'll do the heel. But these ones, of course, are much longer. So let's see, how long do we have to go? Quite a ways. Until we run out of this blue color, because I'm trying to make them match. I would guess that's 5 inches probably. And then I do a fish lips kiss heel, because that is my favorite heel. Every once in a while I will do a heel flap and gusset, but I find those kind of a pain. And I like the fish lips kiss heel. So every once in a while I'll do that, but I will put a fish lips kiss heel in this, and then I will knit the foot till about 5 3/4 inches-ish. I need to remeasure my socks that fit me, because one of the pairs of socks I made in 2019 doesn't fit. It's too small. The very last pair that I made is like a little bit too small. So I think I'm gonna gift those to my mom. Hi Mom, if you're watching. I have a pair of socks for you, because they just don't, they fall down on my heel because they're not long enough in the foot, and I am absolutely not taking the toe out. So then I just do I have been doing Mina's rounded toe from Mina's 2 at a time sock recipe, vanilla sock. I can't remember, but if you go to this sock project page on Ravelry, I have it linked. And I like her round toe better than just a wedge toe. And then I Kitchener the end, and then there you go. Bob's your uncle. So that is the sock. I am planning on having a little bit of progress this weekend on that sock, because it is small enough to take around, and it will be the first time that this sock bag, which has been literally all over the world, will have seen the light of day in so long, because we've been on lockdown. So yeah, those are still my January socks for the Wizarding Mal 2020. I think I just made too many socks in 2019. I'm like out of sock mojo. But I will need smaller projects to work on in the future. So maybe socks will have a resurgence. Who knows? Okay, now I will show you the project that I feel has made major progress, even though it's nowhere near being done. Nowhere close to being done. I feel like I've hit a milestone with this project. And what I am talking about is my Angela cardigan. This is a pattern by Vicky Chan, which I love very much. All of her designs. Vicky Chan is fantastic. This pattern was gifted to me by Brittany, who is Crochet Land by Brittany, quite a while ago. And as you can see, it's not in a project bag, it's in a pile. When did I turn into this person? When? I'm using Loops and Threads Wool-like, which is, in my opinion, one of the only cheap fingering weight yarns. The only issue I have with it is it's a light fingering. It's not a true fingering weight yarn, so it's still very difficult to get a fingering weight yarn in a big box store. This is in their colorway Teal Lake. You get 678 yards for like $3. Less if you can get it on sale. So I am actually in my third ball of this yarn. I know, third ball. So that is a huge milestone because I've used almost 1,400 yards of yarn. And I think I will probably finish the cardigan with this third ball, but I do have a fourth one if I need to. This is 85% acrylic, 15% nylon. And if I can untangle this enough for you to see it, this is where I am. Now, this little guy is my progress keeper. So all of this, it looks like I've made a huge amount of progress, but as you can see, not all of this goes all the way across. I was going along happily, minding my own business. Everything was fine. And then I was like, maybe I should stop and count my rows because my gauge was way off on this pattern. And so with my gauge, you should be getting 15 rows to 4 inches. And I was getting 20 rows to 4 inches. And you should be getting like way less stitches than I was. So I am making the 3x stitch counts in the pattern, but it should only come out to be like the medium/large size because my gauge is so small and because the yarn is so small. The yarn that she calls for in this pattern is like a cotton blend. So it has, and it's a true fingering weight, so it has some heft to it. Whereas this weighs nothing and also is light fingering. And also my gauge is so small. So I was like, oh my gosh, I should stop. And then I stopped and I counted all my rows, and I'm actually a little bit past where I should be in terms of rows, but I think I'm like 10 extra rows. I don't mind though if this cardigan is a little bit too long. And by too long, I mean longer than the pattern measurements specify. I'm gonna be pretty happy as long as it goes below my butt because I want it to be kind of a long, slouchy cardigan. Which it doesn't look like, because this is the bottom hem, it doesn't look like it would be that long. Right now, it's like 16 inches. It is going to grow because it's mesh. It's gonna be at least this long. So what I think I'm gonna do, because I actually had to pull out one row because I needed to end on the wrong side. So I pulled out one row, and then this is the right front shoulder, and it is done. So that's what it will look like. And so I'm currently working on, this is the part that's attached to my ball of yarn, the left front shoulder, and I've got like 6 rows done because this is where you split. And I think I have to do 23 rows based on my calculations to get the measurements because I'm not really following the row counts for the 3X size because it just wouldn't make any sense. And I'm not following the row counts for the medium large size because my gauge is way off. So I have to do some math every time I sit down to do this. So I think I have maybe 15 more rows on this left front shoulder. And then in between the right shoulder and the left shoulder is the back. Now I will have to attach my yarn, and then this is quite longer, so it's probably gonna slow me down again. I have to do like 21, 22 rows of the mesh pattern on the back. So you're essentially creating armholes. So you're working bottom up, then you do this part, then you do the back, and then you seam on the shoulder. And then you still have to add a collar all the way around in this third loop ribbing, which is honestly a nightmare. It takes so long. So that collar is gonna take so long. And the pattern actually calls for sleeves. I'll show you in the photo. You can see that she has long sleeves on. I do not want long sleeves on this cardigan. So I am going, right now the right shoulder stops right about my elbow. So when it's blocked, it may go a little bit below my elbow. I'm just gonna put like one setup row of the mesh pattern around the edge to make it smooth, and then I'm gonna work the cuff directly onto the armhole. I'm not gonna do sleeves because I don't want sleeves. This is like a summery, light, breezy cardigan that I wanna wear in Florida. I don't want sleeves. And I can do that. You can modify a pattern. So I know I still have a long way to go. Like I feel like I could finish the left front tonight, honestly, but doing the back panel for another 20 something rows, that's gonna take a long time. So I feel like that's gonna slow me down. And then what I'm going to do is block it before I seam it. I saw a lot online of people saying definitely block it before you seam it. And another reason I want to block it before I seam it is because the collar, the ribbing will not be attached to the collar or the sleeves yet. And I don't really want to stretch out the ribbing. Like I want all of this to stretch, but I don't want this to stretch. So I'm gonna be as careful as I can to start pinning here on top of this ribbing, not at the bottom, because I don't want this to stretch out. So I think if I can block the whole thing flat to the size that I want, and I'm actually going to pin it together, I think. This is my thought process. I'm gonna, once the back and the front panels are done, I'm going to pin it together with like stitch markers or something, try it on, see how long it is. I'm guessing it's gonna come right to my hips right now. So I'm gonna wanna add probably another 12 inches to that, I would think, which I could easily get out of this. Now, I'm gonna measure and see how many inches I want, and then I'm going to block it to those measurements. Because if I just sit down and I start stretching this as far as it possibly will go, I have a feeling it may turn out bigger than I want it to be. So I wanna make sure that it's perfect. Because this is acrylic, so I can't reblock. Once I steam this with a steam iron, it will stay the way it is forever. So I'm going to try it on once all the panels are done. Then I am going to measure how many more inches I want. Then I'm gonna lay it all out, probably take over my whole living room. I'm gonna pin it all down, which will take like an hour. And then I will steam block it. After that's done, I will then seam up the shoulders and start on the collar, etc. So I'd like to say that I'm very close to being done with this, but I am not. But when I got through the second ball of yarn, that's when it really felt like I had made a major step in this this cardigan. So this is what it looks like. I love it. It's gonna go in my wardrobe so well, so well. And I don't know what the next 2 weeks hold, what projects I will want to work on or not want to work on, but this is the one that has been getting all of the love from me. So it's the one that has all of the progress. So that is the project. I'm sorry I keep, my hair, I have quarantine hair. This, you may think, oh, your hair looks fine. No, this is so long. It is like down to here on my neck. It's driving me insane. And I can say that I have quarantine hair because I do, but I can't really complain that much because I'm the person that cuts my hair. So what am I gonna do? I have to work up the energy and the time to actually do it. And I just don't want to. But I also don't like it poking me right in the eyeball, right there. That's where it likes to land. So I just constantly just do that all the time. Now, I have received a little bit of happy mail. I got one thing in the mail and then a couple of electronic things, which I will show you. I got this coloring book in the mail from a viewer of this podcast named Emmy, and it is called The Swear Word Coloring Book for Prudes, which is hysterical. Like, I'm sorry if this offends you. It doesn't have any actual swear words in it. Like, this says crud muffin. It's a coloring book that says crud muffin. Geez Louise. Let's see. Ticked. They're just, I find them so funny. For Pete's sake. And then my favorite, my personal favorite, if I can get to it. Oh, let me show you this one. This is my second favorite, Jack Wagon. What a fun name. This is my favorite one. And it is Ya Filthy Animal. It is a pig. And as you can see, I started coloring it. I started coloring it the day that it arrived. It hasn't had any love since, but I will want to finish this pig because I find him hilarious. And these are just primary colors, so there's not like tons and tons of colors being used. I just find this coloring book very funny. So I immediately started coloring it. Thank you, that made me smile so much. I also got a few patterns sent to me because it was my birthday at the end of April, and some very lovely people sent me, there's a bug in here. Ooh, how? You open the door for 1 second in Florida. This is what happens. Some very lovely people sent me patterns as presents, and that was so sweet. You did not have to do that. The first one is the Ginkgo cardigan. This is a pattern by Nomad Stitches. And you will see, I said cardigan, but it is actually a sweater. But it has a cardigan, and this was a gift from Kalisha, who is the Quirky Monday Craftcast. And if you don't watch Kalisha, I don't know what you're doing with your life. I mean, honestly, she's my favorite person. You have to watch her. She's hilarious, and she accomplishes way more things than I do. And also, she's just the best all around. You should go watch her. This is what the cardigan looks like. So when she sent me this pattern, I literally was like, because it's been on my wish list for a while. Obviously, you can see I have way too many sweater projects on the go, so I have to finish some of those before I can have the brain space to work on another sweater. But I want this as a cardigan. I find it gorgeous. And Nomad Stitches has a lot of really, really beautiful crochet patterns, so I highly recommend. She has the Taroko pattern, which has been making the rounds because it is truly incredible. But if you don't want to do color work, I definitely recommend Ginkgo because it is solid. Then Brittany, who is Crochet Land by Brittany, sent me the Kingfisher cardigan, which is a pattern made by Haley Bailey. You may know her from, she has a butterfly, like Intarsia crochet colorwork sweater that was very, very popular a while back. So this is the Kingfisher cardigan, and I really, really like it. I think I would make it probably without fringe. And this has been in my favorites for a while as well. It calls for worsted weight yarn. So of course, we know I'm not gonna make it in worsted weight yarn because then it will simply, that's not gonna work for me because in Florida, that's just not gonna work. I need things made with DK weight or less. But this is a pattern made in pieces. So at least I think it's made in pieces. It has a lot of, yeah. You can see there's like a piece. So I think I can easily adapt the pattern to use a lighter weight of yarn as long as I just do some math beforehand and make it the measurements that I want. So I don't know what yarn I'm going to use for this, but I'm kind of excited because I really like that. And then finally, this came in today actually. A lovely person whose name is Siri and her username is Hook All the Things gifted me, and you are not going to be able to appreciate this sweater because I only have black and white picture. This is called the Santa Maria del Pi. It is a colorwork crochet sweater, and this is stained glass. It is like the inspiration from stained glass from the Gothic church of Santa Maria del Pi, which of course, again, you can't see because it's black and white. So I apologize. She calls for Malabrigo Arroyo to make this. It's a sport weight. I'm thinking I need to make it in Malabrigo, so this may have to require some saving up. I don't know if I want to make it as a sweater or if I want to make the sweater and then see if I can steek it and make a cardigan out of it. It is truly beautiful. It has been on my list in my favorites for a long time. And originally when I put it on there, I was like super intimidated. I was like, someday I can work up to that pattern. I think I've worked up to that pattern. I've been crocheting a really long time now. I will say that this, I don't know when this pattern was released, but it's not recently. It's an older pattern. It goes only up to a 50-inch bust. So it may not be accessible for everyone unless you want to grade it yourself, which I know is a pain in the butt. So, I mean, I know there's all kinds of different opinions on that. I personally, I know that it's very frustrating to have beautiful things that don't come graded in your size. And I think that we should expect things to be graded up to like 60 inches at least right now. But for a pattern that was released a while ago, like an older pattern, especially if it was released in a magazine or something like that, there's no excuse for it, but I don't know that we can have the same expectations on those patterns. especially if that person doesn't seem to be designing anymore and just like doesn't update anything. So like, for example, if you like knitting vintage patterns, or anything from the early 2000s, probably up to like 2015, honestly, like all the patterns that you will find in magazines, they just are not size inclusive at all, which is not okay. But it's hard to have current expectations of what an inclusive pattern should look like and put that on a pattern that's been released much previous. So I don't know. I mean, I would love to hear your thoughts on this. Like if you would have those expectations on a pattern, if you would make it, if you would not make it. I know that there's a pattern in my favorites that is one size, and I think it would be a fun challenge to take that one size and grade it for myself to like make it into a pattern that I could wear. And a lot of vintage patterns are only graded in one size. So if you're looking to do a crochet garment for the first time, or a knitted garment for the first time, definitely don't start with a vintage pattern. They assume that you know all kinds of things, and generally they're graded in like one size, which is like 32 inches bust, or something similar, something really small. If they are graded, it's like 2 sizes or something. So you're not gonna have any luck there unless you are that size. But again, it will assume that you know all kinds of things, and it will not explain anything to you. So a vintage knitting pattern assumes a high level of knitting skill. So you have to be careful with those. Not that that was a vintage knitting pattern. That was just a sidebar. I don't even know why we're talking about this. Anyways, if you have thoughts, I would love to hear them. What you personally feel about older patterns or patterns that are not in that size. So I have a topic that I want to talk about, but it is not yarn related. I need some opinions. I want to talk about sushi. So I have been I love sushi, and I have had it one time in the entire lockdown, and it was yesterday. I'm recording this on a Wednesday. I ordered sushi delivery on Tuesday because the sushi place is finally open again. And now I don't like fish. So I know that some of you are going to be like, then you don't like sushi. Okay, I know. I don't like fish. Don't try to convince me that I should like fish. I have never liked fish in my life. I am 31 years old. Could it change at some point? Probably, but it most likely will not, because I do not like fish. I don't like the texture. I don't like the smell. I don't like the taste. I don't like anything to do with fish. And generally when I say that, people are like, but you like this fish. It doesn't taste fishy at all. And then they give me something and I'm like, I still don't like it. The only thing that comes out of the ocean that I like is nori, which is the seaweed wrap that you put in sushi, and crab. I love crab. Oh my gosh. If you can go to an all-you-can-eat crab place, like I did this once for my birthday. This was years ago. I went with my husband and my brother, and he went through 2 pounds of crab in the all-you-can-eat place. But he also like messed around with the potatoes and the corn. Like, why would you do that at an all-you-can-eat crab place? Don't bother with the fluff. I went through 5 pounds of crab in the same time it took him to go through 2 pounds. So let me tell you, I can annihilate some crab. But if it's fish, I do not want it. So when it comes to sushi, what I love more than anything in the world is a veggie roll, which is like avocado and cucumber and asparagus and rice and like rolled up. And then my second most favorite thing is the sweet potato roll, which I don't actually like sweet potatoes either. I don't know why. I've never liked them. I know. A lot of unpopular opinions I'm putting out on the internet today. This is personal. If you like sweet potatoes, I'm not attacking you, okay? Mom, I'm never gonna like sweet potatoes. I know she's watching. I know you're watching. Every time she's like, you might like it someday if you keep trying it. I don't. I will not like them. Sam, I am. I will not eat green eggs and ham. Now, the fried sweet potato, they like tempura fry strips of sweet potato or yam. And maybe if it's yam, that's why I like it, if it's not a sweet potato. And then they roll it up in rice. And I literally, oh my gosh, it is like the most magical, wonderful thing to me in the world. Like, I love those 2 sushi rolls with my whole heart. But sushi is expensive. It really is. Even if you get it for like a lunch special and cheap, like you'll pick it up yourself, it's still gonna be like $10 for a veggie roll and a avocado, or a veggie roll and a sweet potato roll, because they're like $5 each. Last night I got it delivered, so it was crazy expensive, which we have not been eating out or doing anything in a month, so I felt like it was justified. Plus it was just magical. But my question is, after that very long intro, do any of you make your own sushi? If so, can you give me tips? I ordered some nori on Amazon, like the best-selling one. I read a lot of reviews, so I ordered a pack of that, and I ordered a little bamboo rolly mat, but I don't know how to make sticky rice. And I don't know how to make those fried sweet potatoes. Like, do you need an actual fryer to make those, or could I make them in a skillet? What say you? Do you make your own sushi? If so, please comment below with your favorite recipes, with your tips and tricks. Like, how do you make the sticky rice sticky? What do you put in your sticky rice to make flavoring? Why is sushi so expensive? And why can I not eat it every day of my life? Because I totally would. It is the best food in the world. Plus, you can get at a sushi restaurant edamame, which I love, and miso soup, which I love. And sometimes you can get gyoza, I don't know how to say that word. You know, the little like pan-fried wonton wrappers with like pork or chicken or something stuffed inside. Ugh, so good. That is like my ideal meal. And if you finish it with some Thai donuts, yes. So that is my question for you. Are you a sushi person? Do you like sushi? Do you have sushi tips? Do you only buy your sushi? Do you make sushi? Tell me about your sushi life in the comments down below. I need to know. I need to know. I feel like I'm out of breath. I feel like this has been an intense episode, but I don't know why. Maybe today is just intense because I did not sleep at all. Anyways, I don't know why I said anyways. From the very beginning of the episode when I said that I had a nightmare. I'm not sure exactly why I had a nightmare, but I can tell you that my anxiety was pretty high last night, and it's been pretty high today because at 4:45 p.m. yesterday, my boss sent an email and said, we are going back to work in the office on Monday. So there's a lot of reasons that gives me anxiety. Number one, I know that Florida is like reopening slowly because our cases really never got that high. So like all of our shops and stuff are allowed to reopen at a limited capacity. All the restaurants are allowed to reopen. I think bars are not allowed to reopen, but like hair salons and stuff, like slowly people are starting to reopen. So we would be allowed to reopen, but we serve our group of people that we have in business are elderly people. So I feel like that's pretty high risk. And so I don't think we're going to be opening to the public. We're just going to be in the office, which at that point, what's the point? So I don't know. It gives me anxiety to have to go back to work in the office for sure. I have genuinely loved working from home. Like to the point where I know that it's better for my mental health if I can work from home. It's better for my actual health if I can work from home. Like it has been such a blessing to be able to, still be getting paid. It's a little still up in the air as to how it will continue to work, you know, because I got paid last time, so we're good for another 2 weeks. That's as far as I can say. But it has been incredible to work from home. And if you're a person who works from home all the time, like what do you do? Because I need to do that. I just feel so much calmer, so much less stressed out. And it's crazy to me because I am an extrovert, which like I need people. I need to connect with people to feel energized, and being with people makes me feel energized. But so I thought that it would be really difficult for me to work from home and just be by myself all day, but it has been truly delightful. Like I am so sad to go back to work and give that up because I feel like I've been sleeping better. I feel like I definitely have been eating better. I have been less stressed and less anxious overall, even with everything going on. The fact that I didn't have to go into an office and like put on that office face really helped me a lot, I feel. So I know that the job market is bad right now. It's pretty awful because I know some very dear friends who are looking for jobs because of everything that has gone on. And so it's not a good time to be looking for a job right now, certainly, but perhaps in the future, need to think about what I can do from home, because I love it. Like, I truly love working from home. And it gives me so much time back in my day, which I know a lot of people have had a lot more time since the quarantine started, but I have not had any more time other than not commuting and going to the office, because in case you don't know, I work at a law firm full-time, so 40 hours a week, and then that's my day job. And then my night and weekend job is I am a pastor full-time of a small little startup church in St. Petersburg, Florida, that is completely inclusive and affirming. So we have people from all different backgrounds and all different identities, and it's wonderful. But so I've been having to do all of that still, and it's been definitely more intense because more people are struggling, I think, with being isolated and being alone and having lots of things in their lives. So that hours has ramped up, and I just know, because we're not going to be able to start in-person services again until probably mid-June, perhaps the beginning of July. Just depends on what the state of Florida, what phase we're in. We're in phase 1 right now. If we get to phase 3, we can have in-person services, I think. But we don't want to start until then. So for me to have to go back to work in an office and then still find time to write a sermon and then video record myself, which is much more of a production than this is. Like this, I just put my iPhone on and I have 2 lights and I go, but the other thing has a microphone and like it's a whole thing, which I am happy to do it. I just am a little worried about what my life is going to look like for the next month and a half while trying to do that while going back to the office, because it just feels a little overwhelming to me. And then of course, I still have a family. There's still things that have to be done. And once we can meet with people, I will see my family again. I finally got to see my niece the other day, because they moved out right before this started. So they came by to pick up a bunch of mail that got delivered here. And I got to see her, and I haven't seen her in like 2.5 months, which if you're 1, that's a long time. She's walking, and she's so big, and she says words now, and and I haven't seen my mom. I'm just, I'm a little like up here today. But I will actually get to see a couple of people on Saturday, which is why I needed to have that sock to knit on. My husband and I and a few other people, we're going to go over to our friend's house, which we're finally allowed to do. And I know that they've been isolating as well, so there's no risk of germs or anything like that, I don't think. They're going to set up a whiskey tasting, which I do not like whiskey. Whiskey, ooh, like that burn, man. If you like whiskey, good for you, but I cannot handle that. But also whiskey has always given me a stomachache, so I've tended to stay away from it. But my husband is like a connoisseur of whiskey, and so are these other 2 people. So they're gonna have a tasting, like a blind tasting. So they're gonna like set out, they're all bringing their favorites, and then I'm gonna get to like pour them. Like, taste this one, and then they're gonna objectively decide, without knowing which whiskey was which one is their favorite. And I shall not be drinking the whiskey, but I think we're gonna like barbecue, maybe grill some food on the patio, which will be really nice to like not just be in my house eating. And I will be knitting on my sock, and of course I am the designated driver, so it'll be really exciting, I think, to get out of the house and do something. But then I have to dread Monday, of course. So I don't know. I feel like I got a little complainy there at the end, but I always try to be as honest as I can. And honestly, that's how I feel. I am having a lot of anxiety about going back to work on Monday. And I'm just nervous about the whole thing. I'm nervous about it health-wise. I'm nervous about it mental health-wise. And I really would much prefer to stay home. But hey, you gotta work. Gotta work. Can't complain. Now is not the time to be complaining, I don't think, because I'm lucky to even have this space, I think. So yeah, it's been kind of an intense 2 weeks. It's been like up and down, and I feel like that's a lot for everybody. Everybody's kind of feeling this, like, what should I do? Should I go out? Should I not go out? Should I spend money? Should I not spend money? Should I be grateful while this still sucks? Like, it's just a lot of emotions, and I'm just sending you all love. I know how it feels. And I'm tired. I have been working on one other whip, which is secret, and I can't show you. Probably I can show you in like a month or two what I have been working on. It's been taking a lot of energy and a lot of time, but you'll be excited when I can finally show you what it is. So I suppose that's all. If you like this crazy rambly video, do give it a thumbs up. It helps me and YouTube know that I am making content that is worth watching. And if you would like to be kept up to date on future videos, you can hit the subscribe button. Ooh, do you know the one thing good about going back to work? Is all of my work stuff is at the kitchen table. It is like completely taken over the kitchen table because I have like monitors and computers and everything. Once that's gone, I can actually have room to set up my sewing machine again. I could actually sew something. I haven't done that in a long time. Positive silver lining. So leave me a comment below. What are you working on? What are you excited about? Tell me about sushi if you know anything about sushi. And I will see you in 2 weeks. It will be the end of May by then. Holy cow. So until then, please stay safe. Be kind to yourself. I know it's really hard to be kind to yourself. It's much easier to beat yourself up over all the things you should and could and would be doing if there weren't a pandemic on. But just be kind to yourself. If you need a break, take a break. And especially if you have been at home with kids the whole time, I feel your pain. And I hope that when we're allowed to get out and about, that you can get a babysitting date in from someone to get yourself a little bit of a break. So until I see you again, happy crafting, and I'll see you in 2 weeks. Bye, friends.